Hello, welcome back to World on a String Designs. My name is Alicia. Today we're going to talk about 4 simple knitting habits that you can use to elevate your fiber experience and get great results. Now, bear with me. Some of these items you might think you have to really make yourself do them, that they don't come naturally to you or they don't come easily to you as a habit. But once you develop them, I really believe they will elevate your fiber arts experience, and I promise you, none of them are hard. So the first thing we're going to talk about is the importance of doing your gauge swatch. That's right, I went there. Everybody loves a gauge swatch, don't they? I mean, some of us do. But a lot of times we just get really excited and we want to get into that knitting project and get it started, and we don't want to fuss with a boring old swatch. But it will save you time in the long run if you knit enough. And just hang on with me here. So yes, you might get lucky and everything comes out fine. And that does happen. And then it's sort of like you won at Yarn Chicken or something, right? So it's like you won the lotto and it all worked out okay. However, if you knit long enough, you are probably going to tend to find yarns that you like and types of projects that you like that you want to repeat over and over again. In those cases, when you go back and say, oh, I did this gauge swatch on Cascade 128, and now I know when I knit it on a size 11 needle, this is the gauge I got. Then you can skip your yarn swatches, right? That's when you can skip your gauge swatching. And it also tells you perhaps the needle size that you did last time won't work this time because it's a different gauge. So it really can save you time. And also, if you're like me, I made this very lovely birch bark sweater, tried it on before I cast it off, and it fit wonderfully. However, after I blocked it, the sleeves were about this much too long. They grew quite a bit. So that could have been avoided if I had a gauge swatch and I went by, instead of when the pattern says knit 12 inches, you want it to be 12 inches by your gauge swatch. So if your swatch comes out the same and you have to block the swatch, right? This is your post-blocked swatch. Once you block your swatch and you know you have, I don't know, 7 rows per inch, then you know, right, when it says 10 inches, you need to do 70 rows, right? So that's really what you're going to want to go to, because that's going to give you that post-blocking length. So rather than doing it pre-blocking, you're going to get a different number. So that's one way that gauge swatching is going to save you time and heartache, and you're going to end up with something once you cast it off that you're much happier with. The next item I have is keeping good notes. And I personally am terrible about this. If you go back and look at my New Year's resolution video, knitting edition, one of the things that I talked about was my desire to keep better project notes. And the reason for that is because I regret it when I don't. I never in the moment am like, oh, I feel like something's missing because I didn't update my Ravelry page. That never happens. But almost every single time that I want to go back and find information about a project and it's not there, I have regretted it. So some of the things that you're going to want to put in on your project notes are obviously the pattern and the yarn that you're using, the gauge that you achieved, and note if it's different from the pattern gauge. The needle size, I have done this numerous times, and hopefully, I've learned this lesson the hard way a couple times, so hopefully I'll absorb it and not do it again in the future. But if you put your needle size in on your project page or your journal, however you prefer to keep your project notes, when you put in your needle size, and then if you want to come back and modify that garment later, like I want to lengthen the sleeves or shorten the sleeves, or I might want to add a little more ribbing on the bottom, or I might want to change out my ribbing on my hem for a split hem, something like that. You will be so much happier if you put in there what your needle size was. Otherwise, you're going to be doing it by trial and error, and you're not always going to get it right the first time. Ask me how I know. You'll also want to put in your notes any modifications that you made to the pattern. That way when you go back, you have some notes on if you want to make that pattern again. What did I like about this project? What did I not like about this project? What went well? What didn't? What did I do differently from the pattern, so that you're not, if you did make modifications and you didn't note them and you forget, then you go back and you might not get the same results that you're looking for because you didn't know everything that you did differently. So number 3 on our simple knitting habits list is, and I'm really on a roll here, you guys are gonna love this one, weave in your ends as you go. Now, if you're just doing a sock and you got 2 or 3 ends to weave in, sure, maybe you wait till the end of the project. But when you're doing something that has a lot more ends, you guys, it's a little soul crushing to get to the end of your project and realize you have 400 ends to weave in. But it only takes a few minutes. Like, even if it's not every end as soon as you produce it, every knitting session, just, you know, you're done with your knitting for the night, you have 6 ends that need to be woven in, just grab a needle real quick and knock them out. You'll feel a lot better about the project. And if you're like me, sometimes my projects go quite a while before the ends get woven in. And I have actually thought before, I want to wear this garment or this shawl, but I haven't woven the ends in, so I don't want to wear it like that. So all that can be avoided. Just weave them in as you go. This is a habit I have gotten better at over time, and it has elevated my experience. So this one I do have covered, and trust me, it's worth it. Number 4 on my list of simple knitting habits to make your knitting experience better is be willing to really look at your work and critique it. And this can be hard sometimes, right? We never want to see our own faults. However, it's a learning experience, right? And so when we knit, we want to improve as we go and as we learn different things. So if you finish your project and overall it looks great, but if you notice that maybe you have a gap on the purl side of your ribbing or something like that, those things are fixable. You can learn techniques to improve that knitting. A quick search, even on just YouTube, will show, I'm sure, dozens of techniques, if not hundreds, of how to improve your knitting and different techniques that you can look up and learn about and see visually with videos, which can be super helpful. So if you see something that you're not quite happy with on your project, or you wish this could be a little better, maybe you have a tension issue, maybe your cast on isn't as stretchy as you need it to be, you can go on YouTube and search in the search box, stretchy cast-ons, stretchy bind-offs, you know, whatever it is that you're looking for. Be willing to really look at what, even if it's not something that's bad about your project, be willing to look at it and consider, what would I like better about it? How could I improve on this? What is my favorite part and what is my least favorite part? So you absolutely can develop those skills. And it's not always easy, like I said, to look at our work and say that, you know, what did I not do well, right? It's that whole sort of performance review thing that we all dread annually, right? The employee self-review. But that's where you really grow. And I definitely would encourage you to do that. There is just so much information available in this day and age online. And you could even look, I'm sure there's written books as well if you're more comfortable in a library setting with paper and ink, that you could find something to help work on knitting techniques. I'm sure there are books out there. You could also join a knitting group and ask your peers, you know, I noticed this, do you have any tips? Or your color work looks so nice. What are you doing differently than I am that you could teach me? So there really are a lot of opportunities for that. And I think you'll be a lot happier with your knitting in the long run. And then you can learn those skills and maybe you pass them on to somebody else as well, which is enormously satisfying in my opinion. So that's my list of 4 simple knitting habits that can elevate your fiber arts experience. All of these work for crochet as well. Let's not leave the crocheters out. So thank you for joining us today. And do you have any suggestions for your favorite way? It's maybe something that you've tried that has elevated your knitting experience or your crochet experience, that was something that once you did it, it sort of clicked and everything was better moving forward with all of your projects. We want to hear what they are. Leave a comment down below and let's hear what you have to say. We can all learn as a group. Thank you for joining in. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.